V dnešním rozhovoru získáte jedinečnou příležitost ověřit si, jestli zvládnete rozhovor v angličtině s rodilou mluvčí. Nosie je úžasná lektorka z Jihoafrické republiky, doufám, že to nepletu, South Africa, která mluví plynule 5 jazyky, učí se nové jazyky a v tomto rozhovoru s vámi sdílela, jaké to vlastně je žít v Jižní Africe, jak tam probíhá výuka, jak tam funguje vzdělávací systém, jak se ona sama naučila ty jazyky, které umí, takže vám dá super tipy pro to, jak se zlepšovat samozřejmě nejenom v angličtině, ale ve všech ostatních jazycích a zároveň se s vámi i podělí, jakou největší chybu dělají studenti, když se učí anglicky. Jak jsem říkala, Nosie je rodilá anglická mluvčí, takže s angličtinou vyrůstala a vzhledem k tomu, že angličtinou ji učí, tak moc dobře ví, o čem mluví. Nosie je mimochodem součástí nově i projektu Výuka a je online, takže pokud chcete si s Nosie zabukovat lekci, vyzkoušet si, jestli obstojíte při konverzaci s rodilou mluvčí, nebo případně zkombinovat výuku česká lektorka a rodilá mluvčí, tak mi určitě můžete napsat na e-mail eliska@vyukaionline.cz, případně se podívat na moje webové stránky, kde najdete veškeré info. K tomuto rozhovoru jsem taky připravila otázky, abyste ten rozhovor mohli zpracovat jako plnohodnotný pro cvičení vašeho poslechu a porozumění a nějaké bonusové materiály. Pokud o ně máte zájem, tak v popisku zjistíte více info v mém výukovém programu pro samouky Výuka a je online. Ale teď už nebudu zdržovat a jdeme na to. Hello everyone, it's my pleasure to introduce you to amazing Nosie, who's my guest today. Hello Nosie.
Hello Ellie.
Nosie is an amazing teacher as well. She is a native speaker who comes from South Africa, which is also going to be the topic that we'll be discussing, basically the life in South Africa. I think it's extremely interesting, especially for us Europeans and Czechs in general. And since Nosie is a teacher herself, I will also ask her some questions about her style and approach to teaching. And she's not only a teacher, but she's also a student of languages herself. I believe that she speaks like 5 languages, which is amazing. Yes. It's wonderful. So maybe Nosie, for the starters, could you introduce yourself to the people who don't know you?
Hello. My name is Nosie, which is basically short for Nosie, but then I prefer to be called Nosie. But if you want to call me Nosie, that's also okay. I am Nosie and I am from the beautifully sunny side South Africa, which is located in the African continent. I am 22 years of age and I am a student part-time as well as I am a teacher. I teach English as well as mathematics tutor.
It's amazing that you actually teach both. I guess that at least in the Czech Republic, I don't know what about in Africa, but for us, we either are able to use language as well or mathematics, that we've got usually children who are either good at one discipline or the other, like never combined, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. In fact, how it came about for me to teaching, it actually began with mathematics. I used to love mathematics so much that I was always willing to explain it to other students, but not in form of maybe I would say, oh, in one day I want to be a teacher or teach mathematics. It was sort of like something I would say like my strongest point and something that I really enjoyed doing it. So that's when I would say, for me, a journey of saying I like teaching and it's something that I've been doing, that was like the beginning. And that was back in high school before I actually say I am teaching. And then came varsity. I did my first year and then I happened to, there was a position of what you call student leader, which is an SI leader for certain module which deals with mathematics. And then you have to explain it to previous students. As a student who previously did the module, I have to explain to other students who are having challenges of knowing the module which deals with mathematics. And then that's when I fully like formally in terms of like teaching. And then I started like that. And then for English, if I can elaborate more, it's so interesting. So I have a program that I work for, which is sort of like volunteer. It deals with a lot, but mostly education and environmental empowering and creating jobs around my community. So we receive volunteers from Europe, mostly Germany. And Germany, in part of like knowing, it's not really majoring in English. So here is the interest where it started. I was doing my normal mathematics tutoring, and in the program, although it's dealing with mathematics and English, I was only focusing on the side of mathematics. So the volunteers come to Africa, in my country, South Africa. They have a challenge of knowing the English language, and they always wanted to expand and to develop their understanding so that when we speak, because in Africa, like you said, I know 5 languages, but I know 5 languages, but we have total of 11 languages. But I'll say about 99% of the population speak English, because at school it's like bilingual. Every language is taught in English, and then you have like another language. So the volunteers always wanted to participate in conversation and improve their English language. And then I was there. I believe I'm friendly. They were comfortable for me to say, oh, please teach us more. And I ended up enjoying to actually teach them. And I really loved what I was doing in terms of like helping them. And they told me about being a teacher, teaching like native speakers how to improve their level of English. And then I also did my research. That's when I began my journey. I did TEFL, and the rest is history. Yeah. And I've been doing this. I also participated in another program which also teaches English. It's basically students coming from rural areas of South Africa where English is not really a major language. So when they come to the city, it's like 90%, like even like the people around do not communicate with another language except for English. So for them, they're used to speaking their home languages, which is not English. So the transition for them to come into the city where it's like English, it's a bit challenging. So I have to ease that process. And yeah, I'm their tutor for English for it's been like 2 years now. Yeah, I'm going to my 3rd year doing that program, easing the process for them to fully know English and be comfortable and be confident when communicating in English.
It's wonderful. Like, it sounds like more of a coincidence than an intention. Yeah. And it's something I was like, because it's really sort of like a coincidence, because I was never, just a bit of a story. For me, even like to being a teacher, I feel like my mother was a teacher. And whenever like I would ask money, and whenever she does not have money, her first answer was like, one day be a teacher and be broke like me. So it was never something for me. I was like, actually, I want to be a teacher, because my mom was like defining it as something. If I do it, I will be broke. I won't have money. Not actually checking if it's something that I really love or I would enjoy doing it. And it's really something that I love. I do not care much, or so it's not very important to me to say, oh, I need like higher income out of it or anything. I just enjoy doing it. And I feel so happy when I see my student actually developing and like improving their understanding. That's one thing that makes me happy. Yeah, this is definitely the most fulfilling part of our job, 100%.
Yes,
and
yes.
Yeah, it's super interesting when it comes to South Africa. Actually, in the past, I didn't know that the main language is English, and
Yes.
I discovered that when I met my first teacher, who actually comes from South Africa, and he's teaching he teaches English in my city for maybe already. He's been teaching for like 8 years here in the Czech Republic.
Wow, amazing!
And, like he's amazing, and therefore I love I love teachers from South Africa because he's the best role model in that. And so, if I understand correctly, when the children are growing up, they immediately speak English and one of the home languages at the same time.
Yes, that's mostly the cases, because if you go, I would say at home, it depends if maybe it's like interracial, but let's say like because of television and we grow up like watching television, and if kids like watch cartoons, and cartoons are always like in English on the television system, it's very rare, like the programs whereby they will only communicate or like sort of like our different languages, they are very, very, very rare because English is such a major thing. So I would say from a very young age, you would speak English, although your home language or your parents speak another language. In fact, parents really love when their kids from a very young age speak English, because it also becomes like a challenge when you grow up and the only language that you know is your home language and not English. I would say, for instance, for every job in South Africa, whether you'll be working with people of that native province, which is maybe Xhosa or Zulu, English will always be a requirement. So it's sort of like something that was like very important. And then, I would say like from a very young age, your kid would say like, mama or like mommy, like from a very young age, that's what you can be exposed to, especially if you live in the city. But if you live, let's say, in the rural areas, that's where I would say no, they are not really introduced to English directly. But when they start school, I can definitely assure you they will be taught and be addressed in English as well as their home language, which differs because, like I said, we have 11 official languages. Yes.
Yeah, that's for me completely unimaginable, living in a country where there are 11.
Like that's languages. One of the very interesting thing about South Africa. We have like 11 and they are all recognized as like official languages. Even our national anthem tries to have them all. So we have a sentence in English, another one in Zulu, another one in Xhosa, in Tswana, in Afrikaans. So yeah.
And are they similar to each other or are they completely different?
There are some few that are similar in terms of like, not similar, no, but I know there are 3 that are really similar, but then, like for instance, if you know German language, but okay, obviously I'm not sure if you know it, like German language and Afrikaans, right? I would say in terms of like sounding, because I know Afrikaans and I've met like German people who like they come to my country to volunteer. As I know Afrikaans, they would say that it's very similar, even the sound of it. So it won't be so complicated for you if you speak Afrikaans and you want to learn German language, because they are very similar. Even the sound, you need to, oh no, it's not actually German language. That is like another language.
That's interesting. I thought that the European languages are completely different from the African languages.
No, actually, German language and Afrikaans, they are not really. And I think Afrikaans language was from like, I don't know the history, but from the Dutch, something to do with like that. So that's why it is sort of like similar to it. In fact, now I'm interested to know the history about that. But then it's sort of like coming from like Dutch, but I don't really know it. For me, I learned it at school and I don't actually know like the history, because also in my country, it's spoken by what we call colored people. But yeah, it's like one of our native language and also a largely spoken language in South Africa.
And what was your language learning journey like? Like what is your mother tongue, and when did you start learning English, and how did you learn the other languages?
Okay, so my home language, which was spoken at home, for me at my house, we spoke English because my uncle, whom I lived with, was speaking another language, which is Zulu. So there was Zulu, and my cousins and us were speaking like English and Afrikaans. Oh, sorry, English and Xhosa. So we sort of like have this common language which we'd use, which was English, and also like television, in terms of watching television, would use English. So I sort of like started to learn more about my native language, which is Xhosa, the second one, my home language, at school. And English also was the same because, like I said, it is like the medium communication, like bilingual. Whether you are learning physical sciences, you are learning biology, you will be taught how to understand that subject in English. So yeah, in my primary school, I did English and I did Afrikaans. English is my home language. Afrikaans is my first additional language, right? I did not do my home language, which was Xhosa. And that was really difficult for me, challenging, I would say, because I had started to learn it at a very older age. So I learned the Afrikaans as a second additional language, as well as English as my home language. And then I changed schools. So this is what happens in my country. Some province, right? They have their language that is like, will be your second additional language. Is like mostly spoken in that province. We have 9 provinces, and in those 9 provinces, English is like largely spoken. Afrikaans is like spoken in all those provinces. But let's say another province is Gauteng, and the mostly spoken language is Sotho, English, and Afrikaans. So if you go to attend school in that Gauteng province, and then school there, your second additional language will be Sotho, right? And then maybe in KZN, your second additional language will be Zulu. So for me, I changed province, and then now my second additional language have to change, right? So I started learning second additional language as Zulu and Xhosa. And that was very challenging for me because I was not speaking the languages. And the only thing that helped me more, which I would say it drew me to learn the language, I used to read a lot of books in the native language because I see myself that I had a challenge and I can't go back to my other province because now we relocated to this province. So I have to learn now a new additional language, which was Zulu and Xhosa, so I learned the languages. They are not very similar. I would say like 60% similar. That's why the school provides them both. So I learned the languages by reading the books and also communicating with my friends more. And one of the most interesting things, when I graduated from high school, although I started learning it within like 5 years in my high school years, I graduated in high school the language because of how I made sure that I must know this language, even if I started learning at a very older age, which is 15, but I must learn it and understand it. So when I graduated, I had like what you'd call an A plus pass, which is a distinction. So yeah, that was really amazing. And then in terms of like knowing another language, which is Sotho, when I attended university, my very close friends, which were 2 of them, they were speaking Sotho. And there was one program that I loved on television. I think I watched it for years. And the subtitles on that program were in English, but then they always communicated in Afrikaans. In the Sotho language. So I really loved the language and I was familiar with a lot of wording and in terms of like knowing it. So ever since I met my friends, I was like, I need to know your language more than what I used to see on television. So I would persist them every time we speak Sotho so that I can understand more. So if I don't understand the word, I will ask you, what does this one mean? So I communicated more in terms of like, I didn't learn it at school or to say, I have like a tutor or something. No, I was just communicating with my friends. And now that I'm sitting here, I can fluently in terms of like communication, but not in terms of like writing. But in terms of communication, I can communicate with the language. So yeah. And then now one of the interesting thing is I am on a journey learning Spanish.
Yes. We can be buddies.
Yeah.
Well, like I've got to say that's super impressive. Like I think that
Yes.
for us, it's I mean like Czechs, it's unimaginable because here you are born and you speak Czech. I guess very little children are actually bilingual. It's not really common. Then when you go to school, you start learning English. Yeah, maybe after 3 years of attending school, and the educational system, let's say when it comes to English at schools, is terrible, to be honest. Like if you only want to learn English at school, you really don't have a chance. And I have met so many people, so many students who have been studying English at school for 10 years, and they can only, let's say, get by with a few phrases. They don't know anything. So it's completely different.
At some point, I feel like the educational system in terms of like learning like a language, it's not really practical in terms of like how you want to communicate. Because what you learn at school is also, as a person who has started, I started English at school from like the very first grade, which is grade 1 until grade 12, which is like learning English, although it's like my second native language in my country. And in terms of like learning, I would say you learn a lot of things that when you speak and when you communicate like with other people, you are not using mostly what you learn. Like for instance, you'll be learning like poem analyzing, which is, it's not something that you use like on your daily basis, but it's very important like as a native English speaker. So I think in terms of like, if a student or you are learning a language and you are hoping to become fluent when you speak to it, the educational system at school, it's not really helping because you're only focusing on writing and like doing your test. There should be more things such as like speaking, like prepared speaking or unprepared speaking, whereas you speak in front of the class and maybe you speak like in terms of like the topic. And that I think if maybe the educational system can make that more practical, which is like having like that, putting like that task whereby students have to speak in class in the topic that they like or anything, just like to address the class, as well as loud reading, where like you read aloud, because that will also make you practical in terms of like communicating in the not only focus on reading and cramming and then you write the test and then you pass. Not only that, more practical in terms of like training them to speak, especially if it's not your native language and you are learning it only at school. So that's what I would say on my side.
100%. Like I definitely agree. And yeah, the problem is there is not that much time to actually practice the speaking in class.
Yes, there's really not much.
So I guess it's lucky when the children actually get to speak for 1 minute in one lesson.
It's
like, wow.
Actually, I would say also, like I said to you, like in the program that I also work on to, they are not like from a very like rural areas in my country, are not like really English focusing. So for them, they only learn English at school when they attend class and learn. But when they speak with their friends, because it's not like so, it's not only, you won't have like really in the rural areas find like people from another province or people who are speaking another language. So when they are with their friend, they will only communicate in their native language, which is their native language, which is not English, but maybe Xhosa, Zulu, Sotho. So, and then now when they transition to like the city, now in the city, you meet like your friend is like speaking English, like throughout, they do not really know like their home language. So the challenge for them is like expressing and speaking more in English, which is like with their friends that they meet now. So one of the things I would say I try to do is like when like they first come, I'll make sure that they excel in terms of introducing themselves in English, right? And then it starts from there. Not that that's the only thing that they will learn, but in terms of like being comfortable and being confident in terms of like speaking English and communicating more often in English. It starts with being fluent in terms of like you introduce yourself. Then as from then, we'll speak more about other things. And then that's where I would say you normally be able to see the change by firstly being confident and being comfortable in terms of like introducing yourself and like expressing yourself in English.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so glad to hear it from you. And actually, a lot of students, I guess maybe only English students, are listening to us right now. So as a teacher with that experience, what would you say that are the best methods to do in order to really become fluent and let's say speak professionally?
I would say for me, in terms of like, let's say what like I would advise, as humans, as people, we are very, very different in terms of like what we like. I can't force everyone to say, go read an English book, because not everyone likes to reading a book. Not everyone would like to listen music, or like, I'll try to get first their interest. Let's say you like cooking, right? You like cooking, as well as you'll be learning English, attending English classes. You really like cooking. Go search for a program which deals with like cooking, like a recipe, but that will only be in terms of communicating or like explaining the recipe in terms of like English language. Or let's say you like reading, then try reading English books that you'll be able to do something that you enjoy, but now in terms of it's really different because now it will only be in English. If you like watching movies or series, search for that series which is like English, and then you watch the series or the movie in English way, and it's like something that you enjoy doing, which is watching movies. And now the only difference is that it will be in an English form, and because you really love listening to music or like cooking, and then there's something interesting that you like, is that you like cooking. So as much as it is communicating in English language, which is not your native language or a language that you fully understand, you will still be interested to know, oh, what does that word mean? Because you really want to follow what is happening. Or let's say in a movie, you see this is this and this is happening. But because you are interested in this movie or whatever, you would really be interested to know, oh, she said this in this certain word. What does that word mean? Because I'm really interested. I want to move forward with this with like understanding. So that is one of the, I won't say follow like another person, how they took the route in terms of like learning English. Would say, oh, for me, I was watching movies. And then you know for yourself, you don't like watching movies in your spare time. I won't say go and watch movies. Find what is really interesting to you and then do that, as well as mostly importantly, when you are learning it and speaking like with the native speaker or your teacher, try to grab whatever that you can and the corrections that the teacher is giving you, to use them and see that you will be making like a progress for like in the next time that you are attending the lesson or like you are speaking and practicing.
Yeah, again, like I 100% agree. I cannot say anything on top of that. Actually, it's funny for me to hear that you've learned the languages mainly by reading books. And for me, it was watching series. That was my biggest motivation, because at that time, like we didn't have Czech subtitles. So I had no other choice than to watch it in English. And that was how I originally learned that.
Yeah, for me, I really love books. Like I enjoy reading, which is why now, like in terms of like my new journey of like learning the new language, one of the things, like the first material that I got myself was like, I need a book, because I know I spend a lot of time like digital, like watching or like communicating in my PC. So sometimes I don't need like the light. So what I will do is take a book and read. And I was like, I really love reading. So this is like my first resource that I would do, which is getting a book.
Yeah, I was actually surprised when you told me like, Halishka, look, I have a Spanish book. And I was like, okay, I haven't even thought about that, because I like reading, but I don't read that much and I don't read for fun. So I haven't even...
For you, yes, for you love like watching series more. So that is what you enjoy. And if you're doing it in terms of learning, it will be effective for you. So you need to actually understand yourself as a person first.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
And as a teacher, you have experience with a lot of types of students. So what would you say is the biggest trouble they come across on their English learning journey, and what might be one of the, let's say, most typical reasons why they don't achieve the level they want to?
Oh, okay. So in terms of like, this might not be 100% accurate. Like I said, some students, this will work for them. For instance, as I was working in like an online platform, like in terms of like, one of what I've picked that challenges the student in terms of learning the language and actually like seeing that they are improving. So you see, in some platforms where you learn English, you meet like thousands of tutors, right? And then let's say a month you are planning to take 10 lessons, right? A month. You are telling yourself that now you are practicing to improve your level of speaking in English and become more fluent in terms of, let's say some student will come say, oh, I've been learning English for this years in a book form, but then I need to practice more speaking, which is communicating. So what I think I've picked in terms of like, when a student is telling me, oh, I've been learning, maybe they book a class with me and say, I've been learning English for, let's say, 3 years or like over a year, but then I don't really see an improvement that I'm really improving because I make some small mistake, which is acceptable. But then what I've picked, or in terms of like that small survey, was some students, when they come like online and booking, I say in those platforms online, you keep on changing them. You meet like thousands of English teachers. If every time you book a lesson online and then you take a lesson with teacher P, second lesson with teacher A, third lesson with teacher Z, another lesson like different teachers that are teaching in English. If you take like 10 lessons a month and then all those 10 lessons a month, you are booking different teachers. For me, I don't think it's really effective. You know why? When you're firstly meeting a new teacher, the only thing that teachers will firstly do with you is introduction in terms of like knowing you so that they can have like material that it will better suit you and understand like the level of English. Because also we must know that as you learn something, you'll be like in different levels. And then a teacher needs to note that in terms of like trying like the material that will fit your own level. So the student, if you go online and you book all those different teachers a month, 10 of them, the only thing that you become fluent on doing is introducing yourself. What do you like? And why do you want to learn English? That will be the same thing, which is all those different teachers, they won't be able to know you, what exactly is your level, and to see and correct you when you book another lesson. So it's not really effective in terms of my perspective. If when you go online and you book a different teacher, it is okay to say when you are still learning the English language, then you find a platform, let's say, because you need to test them to see which one will be more effective for you. And then you test them. Let's say you book 5 so that you can find the best that would say, oh, this one is really aligning and will really help me improve my level of English language. Then that is okay. You can book, let's say, 3 lessons or 5 lessons and check which teacher will better suit you. Also, it's not really, I won't really say stick to like one teacher. It's okay to say, okay, I'll have like 2 teachers. You know, when you have like 1 or 2 or say 3, this is what will happen with you. As you are getting in class with the teacher will already know you, what you did in the last lesson, what are the mistakes that you did in the last lesson, and you'll be improving. And even the conversations, because if you want to learn, you must speak more, be introduced to new grammar, new vocabulary, like new words that you'll be learning. So as the conversations will differ and be different time to time, that means you'll be able to learn more and be corrected more. And sticking to only like, I'd say a minimum of 3 teachers, they will be able to pick up if you are increasing your level, improving and being able to say, okay, now today, let's focus more on this particular one because I see that you have a problem. Maybe let's say some common areas when you are using vowels, like something like that. So as for me, I would say most challenging thing is choosing like different teachers each and every time. And also taking time to go back and book a lesson. Let's say a month, you only book one lesson. And then another, and then you sit at home, you speak like your native language. And then next month, without actually practicing, that's also the other challenge. If you're gonna just book one lesson a month and then sit at home, not actually practicing in terms of like what interests you, which will make you improve your language. You only learn English in terms of only attending a lesson. I don't think that will be fully effective in terms of like improving your understanding. Try more activities and try to book more lessons so that you can be able to speak more and communicate more, or rather to do like say, let's say like watch a movie, which will be like series based or but speaking English. And then like that, you'll be able to learn more and like improve your level of understanding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Like when you want to become a pro in any skill, actually, you need to be consistent. So you should also be consistent with your teacher. And what you said, I also believe, and it's the way I've been actually learning other languages, is the combination, let's say, of a teacher that is Czech and of a native speaker. That's how I have learned German, how I'm currently learning Spanish, and how I've learned English in a way. And by the way, I'm so super excited for and grateful for meeting you, because like say your opinions are the same as mine. And I have also met you first being my own teacher, and I really enjoyed the lesson because you're super friendly and you really encourage the students and you let them speak. And that's the vital part. Like I have met teachers who wouldn't let me speak even though I really wanted to, but they were, let's say, so talkative, and I don't know what they were so intensely focused on grammar that they, even though I was telling them, please, I want to speak, they were still let's say, insisting on, no, let's do the grammar, fill in this exercise. And I was like, oh no.
Yes. And students must not be really comfortable in terms of in the lesson when the teaches more. They must be comfortable when they are speaking more, to say like 80% of the time, they are the ones who are speaking, so that the teacher can be able to correct them. Because if you enjoy to listening to the teacher, or to say you and the teacher are speaking 50-50, remember at the end of the day, you are the one who has to level your understanding, improve your understanding. So the speaking must be 80% to 100%, okay, like 90% on you, so that you can be able to practice more. And do not be afraid to make mistakes. Part of learning is making mistakes. And in those mistakes, we learn. Because once you are corrected, then that will stay in your mind. Oh, I did a mistake. Now you'll be able to note and to not do the mistake once again.
Definitely. So it's my pleasure to announce that we have actually, with Nosie, decided to cooperate together and help the students that I teach, or they want my lessons, to sometimes have a lesson with Nosie, to experience the amazing empowering moment when you finally have a conversation with native and you get by. Yes. I guess that this is one of the most important moments in every learner's experience, to actually speak with a native and not having to use any mother tongue
translation. Yes, because now the teacher won't be saying, oh, in our native or home language, this is how you say. Now, if you're only communicating with the native, someone who does not understand your home language, then the only way that you'll be able to understand is to actually try to simplify, and like you'll also be learning like synonyms, in terms of like, if you don't understand this word, the teacher will just try to introduce like another word that is like mean the same, which is you will be learning in terms of like that. Yes.
Definitely. So thank you, Nosie, for your time, and for all of you who want to book a lesson with me and Nosie, you can contact me in the information link down below, and we'll be looking forward to meeting you all.
Yes, I will be very much willing looking forward to meeting the students. And I am such a very, like you said, I am very friendly. Yes, in my classes, I am very friendly, interactive, and I am a well-rounded teacher that I would not really want to focus more on me, but mostly focusing on the needs of the students and try to work in terms of achieving those needs or that goal the student has.
Definitely. So thank you so much, and we'll be looking forward. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.